Good morning, 8th grade. It is Thursday, October 15th, and we are going to get started with our math lesson for today. Again, notebook and writing utensil, and let's open in prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Fortify me with the grace of your Holy Spirit, and give your peace to my soul, that I may be free from all needless anxiety, solicitude, and worry. Help me to desire always that which is pleasing and acceptable to you, so that your will may become my will. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I hope it's been a good week so far. I hope you all know that I pray for you, that I'm so blessed to be a part of this wonderful community at St. Isidore, and I want you all to know that I do pray for your studies, for your health, for your growth, and for all of the intentions that you hold in your hearts as well. I've been lifting them up all week. Okay, so let's get started. Just 2 warm-up problems today. Go ahead and pause the video and solve these. Okay, welcome back. This first problem is just dividing fractions. Just want to review that process with you guys. So if I'm going to divide these 2 fractions, this is kind of a complex fraction. I need to turn both of those mixed numbers into improper fractions. And so this is 7 over 3 divided by 6 over 5. And then I'm going to rewrite it as a division problem, a fraction division problem. And I always, because I know sometimes people get tripped up on which number comes first and which number comes second. And so it's always this number divided by the bottom number. And so it's 7/3 divided by 6/5. I always write it out that way. And that way I don't mess it up. Now, dividing fractions means I have to multiply by the reciprocal. So this is 7/3 times 5 over 6. And I can't cancel anything. So I'm going to just have to multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, 35 over 18. Okay, now I want to turn this back into a mixed number. So 35 over 18. 18 is only going to go in there 1 time because 18 times 2 would be 36. So I'm going to have 1 and 17/18. And I can check that by just remultiplying it. Okay? So there's the answer to number 1. Just make sure you remember how to multiply and divide fractions and mixed numbers. They come back. We'll see them again off and on all year. Okay, number 2 is this is a multi-step equation. So I'm going to do distributive property first. So 6x minus 12. Now on this side I've got distributive property, and this is one of those that tends to trip people up. So that's why I gave it to you, because I want to review this. Remember, when I have 7 minus something in parentheses, it's like I have an imaginary 1 there. And so 7 minus 1 times x is going to be minus 1x. And minus 1 times 8 is minus 8. I have to distribute that negative sign, or that -1, to both of those numbers, okay? Again, pay attention to that when you see those. Those are tricky. Now I'm going to combine like terms on that right side. So 6x minus 12, 7 minus 8 is a -1 minus 1x. Or if you just write x, that's fine too. And then now I need to get all my variables on one side, all my constants on the other side. I'm going to add 1x. So I have 7x minus 12 equals -1. And then I'm going to add 12. And I'm left with 7x equals 11. And then I'll divide by 7. X equals 11 over 7. Just leave it as an improper fraction there, okay? And you're done. If you have any questions on either of those, make sure and talk with your tutor this afternoon. Today we are going to just continue practicing absolute value inequalities. So let me get that slide up. Okay, so again, our essential question is the same and our objective is the same as yesterday. We're going to solve some more inequalities using absolute value. Okay, so we're going to solve a few examples. I wanted to try a few that I think have maybe some steps that tend to confuse people. So, you know, we're gonna just solve probably about 4 or 5 problems here, and then I'll let you go on your homework. So please get these in your notes, especially like I said, they've got some steps that I think are going to be important for you guys to pay attention to. So this first one we're going to start with. Okay, so the absolute value of the quantity 3x over 5 is less than or equal to 12. So absolute value is by itself. I'm at a point where I'm ready to split my equation into 2 separate equations, or my inequality into 2 separate inequalities. So I need to think about, is this an and or an or? It's a less than. The distance is less than, the distance is small. So this is an and. When I say the distance is small, I mean the distance is close to 0. So it's going to be hovering around 0. So this is an and. So 3x over 5 is less than or equal to 12. And 3x over 5 is greater than or equal to negative 12. And now I just solved both of those. So I'm going to multiply by 5 on both sides. 3x is less than or equal to 60. Oops, not 16, 60. X is less than or equal to 20 if I divide by 3. And multiply by 5 on both sides. 3x is greater than or equal to negative 60. So x is greater than or equal to negative 20. And remember, this is an and, so I'm going to hope they overlap. Got negative 20 and 20. So x is greater than or equal to negative 20, so that goes that way. And x is less than or equal to 20, so it goes that way. So yes, it does. So that's my and. And again, I think about that as the distance is less than 3x over 5. That quantity is less than 12, so it's going to be small. It's going to be close to 12, okay? Or close to 0. Okay, let's look at another one. Let's look at all right. The absolute value of 5 minus 2x is less than or equal to 31. Again, my absolute value is by itself. So I'm at that point where I have to determine, is this an and or an or? And the distance is less than. It's a less than, so it's an and. And I'm going to write my 2 equations. 5 minus 2x is less than or equal to 31. And 5 minus 2x is greater than or equal to negative 31. I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. Negative 2x is less than or equal to 31 minus 5 is 26. And now I have to divide by a negative 2, so I have to flip the sign. So x is greater than or equal to negative 13. And then I do the other side. Subtract 5. Negative 2x is greater than or equal to negative 36. Divide by a negative 2, flip the sign. 36 divided by 2 is 18. So let's look on the number line and see if this works out. I've got negative 13, I've got 18, less than or equal to 18, greater than or equal to negative 13, looks good. And again, my interval notation would be bracket negative 13 comma 18 bracket. Okay. Let's look at this one. This has got several steps to it. Okay, so I am not going to decide if this is an and or an or yet. I want to get absolute value by itself first. And so to do that, I'm going to add 5 on both sides. Actually, I'm going to go back. I want to talk about this for a second because I see this a lot. Okay, when you see this here, you've got to remember order of operations. An order of operations would say that we would multiply and divide before we would add and subtract. So we can't combine this -5 and this 2. The 2 is being multiplied by the absolute value, and so it's attached to that absolute value. It's not something that I can separate and add, okay? Really important. That's a very common mistake that I see. When you've got something being multiplied by another entity, you can't just go and add it to something else, okay? Hope that makes sense. So back to where we were. So we added 5 to both sides. Now I've got that 2, and I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. So the absolute value of x minus 5 is greater than or equal to 8. So now I've got absolute value by itself. Let's take a look, and this is a greater than. The distance is greater than 8. So this is an or. X minus 5 greater than or equal to 8, or x minus 5 is less than or equal to -8. I'll add 5. X is greater than or equal to 13, or x is less than or equal to -3. Draw my number line, got -3, 13, and my graph looks like that. Okay, I can write it in interval notation. I've got -∞, comma, -3, and I've got a bracket, union, bracket 13, comma, infinity. Okay, one more. -2 minus the absolute value of 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to -7. All right, oh, this is a good one. Okay, so again, I need to get absolute value by itself. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides, and I'm left with a negative absolute value of 2x plus 1 less than or equal to -5. So I need to get rid of this negative out in front. And remember, when I have just a negative out in front of any sort of a grouping symbol, and in this case it's an absolute value symbol, it's like there's a 1 there. So to get rid of -1 times that, I'm going to divide by -1 on both sides. And when I divide by -1 on both sides, then I need to flip the sign. So I'm left with the absolute value of 2x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 5. Okay? So now it's a greater than. Greater than means it's an or. 2x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 5, or 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to -5. So I've got 2x greater than or equal to 4, x is greater than or equal to 2, or 2x is less than or equal to -6, x is less than or equal to -3. And if I graph that, I'm going that way at the 2 and that way at the -3. So it works, makes sense. All right, so those are your examples for today. These last 2 examples especially, if you did not get them in your notes, please go back through the video again and get them in your notes. They are really, really good problems. If you have any confusion about any of the steps on those, or on any of them from this lesson today, go through these problems with your tutor this afternoon. These are all really good problems for examples for solving absolute value inequalities. Let me get over to your assignment. Okay, so your assignment tonight is an absolute value inequalities worksheet. There are 11 problems, 2 through 22 even. Do the evens, 11 problems. think about how you feel about today's lesson. I hope that today feels you have more confidence today than you did yesterday with the absolute value inequalities. Talk with your tutor this afternoon about any problems that you are having. You do have a weekly quiz that's out there today. 5 questions all about compound inequalities and absolute value inequalities. That's what we did this week. So take the quiz, take your time on that, and again, solve the problems on paper and then just input your answers in the system, okay, in the online system. Next week, we are going to wrap things up with inequalities. We'll do a little bit of review. We'll do a unit test, a little bit bigger. So be sure that you're looking back through your notes from these last 2 weeks and making sure and asking questions about the content that maybe is still giving you some trouble, okay? Because we are going to test on that next week and then move on. So that's it for today. I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully get some time outside. I think it's supposed to cool off, which will be really nice. And let's close in prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. We'll see you next Monday.